The Endeavour Trophy has been staged annually at the Royal Corinthian Yacht Club on the UK's east coast at Burnham on Crouch since 1961 and is now sponsored by Holt.
Well, Holt have been involved with the Endeavour now for 3 years in terms of title sponsor. We got involved on the basis that historically the Holt is quite important. One of the founders of the event, Beecher Moore, is the Holt's managing director's father, and Beecher was the business partner of Jack Holt, which obviously is where the company name comes from. So it was very important to us to actually breathe some life into this event. It had gone a bit stale, people weren't turning up, and what we wanted to do was turn that around into an event where people wanted to come here, wanted to compete, and basically be the champion of champions, which is what this event stands for. We, as a company, we obviously make hardware for boats. We supply all the fittings for the Xenon. We supply the fittings for the majority of dinghies built nowadays. And one of the key areas for this event is it's allowing the national champions of each class to be aware of what Holt is currently doing, be aware of the new products, and what better place to do that than at the Champion of Champions event, where we have the ability to talk on a one-to-one basis.
There's a wealth of talent representing these dinghy classes who are all hoping they can make their mark on this hugely prestigious event. With 28 national title holders taking part, the pressure is really on, and the winner can truly be regarded as the champion of UK champions.
Well, it's looking good at the moment. The wind's picked up a bit, which is what it's all about, obviously. So hopefully it's going to be a good day. It was a little bit light yesterday, but a bit of wind makes it all worthwhile.
It's very light, which is good for me because I'm probably the smallest, lightest person here. But it's going to be quite shifty, and so I've never been here except for the training yesterday, so quite interesting.
8 races are scheduled over the 2 days of competition, and with a variable forecast, the decision was made to try for 5 races on Saturday, each lasting approximately 45 minutes. However, all of the talk of light winds on the first morning soon changes as competitors are greeted with a gradually increasing easterly, approaching a healthy 12 to 15 knots. With the tide turning just before the start of the race, many were pushed over the line, and so PRO Kim Allen called for a general recall. Fortunate for some of the competitors perhaps, but they got away cleanly on the second attempt. It's a spectacular sight to see this fleet of 28 Topper Topaz Xenons off the line. These one-design, two-man, asymmetric dinghies in the hands of such brilliant talent, all pitched together to see who could coax the most speed from them. Straight out of the box after just a day's warm-up. As the boats rounded the spreader mark for the first time, it was clear Nick Craig was going to have some stiff competition over the weekend, with Steve Tylercoat and Toby Lewis representing the Firefly ahead of him. The downwind legs called for a difficult tactical decision, forced to either hug the riverbank where there was less wind or head towards the main channel where the breeze was stronger. But the tide was against you, so not easy. Superb conditions now, the leaders revelling in the speed of these Xenons with their kite up and thoroughly enjoying the competition. Dropping spinnakers at the leeward gate, it was all action as the leading group fought for position. Graham Cam and Zoe Ballantyne from the National 12 class rounding closest to the camera, while Nick Craig and Steve Dunn from the OK class are right behind Steve Tylercoat and Toby Lewis from the Firefly class. But Tylercoat was really looking comfortable upwind now. By the next windward mark, Tylercoat had carved out an impressive 10-second lead over defending champion Craig, under pressure from Tom Jeffcoat and Mark Horgan behind. Simply marvellous to see the fleet sail like this, all battling to gain every ounce of extra speed possible. More problems for Nick Craig on the run as Tom Jeffcoat and Mark Horgan from the Fireball class edged past him, and Roger Gilbert and James Stewart from the Merlin Rocket class also came into contention. Tylercoat and Lewis were really on a roll now, taking another 10 seconds out of the downwind run to extend their lead even further. A really amazing performance, but perhaps not surprising given the skipper's pedigree, having first started sailing the Firefly 19 years ago and represented Britain, plus won the class national title for the past 2 years. First over the line to take race 1 is Tarlecote and Lewis, throwing down the gauntlet to Nick Craig and the rest of the fleet. Coming through for second place, Jeff Coate and Horgan, representing the Fireball class, leave the 3-time Endeavour Trophy champion Nick Craig with a serious question mark back in third place. Race 2 then, glorious conditions and a clean start as these 28 champions hike out on the first beat, and rounding the windward mark for the first time, there's barely room to breathe. A short spreader leg just to give some distance and a chance to spread out for safety, and off onto the run. And it's Tarlecote and Lewis setting the pace again. A smart drop from crewman Lewis as Steve Tarlecote hardens up round the mark, and just look at the lead as he tacks around and into a 360. No doubt for an earlier protest or infringement in the race, but he not only has time to do it, but chooses the perfect moment too. A truly astonishing performance from this pair, now clear and away. The two Andys, Davies and Thompson, the solo class champions, are up with the leaders in this second race and go on to score fourth, with Jeff Coate and Horgan sailing another blinder to take third, just behind Nick Craig, who improved one place for second this time. But
it's a good start. We're only 25% of the way through, but at the moment we're still just delighted to be here. It's always an honour to come to the Endeavour Trophy. Such a good event. Delighted to represent the class. Toby's sailing fantastically well, and but we're only 25% of the way through the regatta, so we're not holding we're just one race at a time basically.
Races 3 and 4 were rattled off in quick succession with some interesting results and developments. Tarlecote and Lewis stayed consistent though, scoring a second and first, as the Greenhaig brothers from the International 14 class started to shine, having suffered an unfortunate gear failure in race 2. And Roger Gilbert and James Stewart found their form to beat off Tarlecote, and also Nick Craig, who had a shocker in race 3, finishing 7th, as the Merlin Rocket class pair went on to win race 3. But it was only a temporary glitch for Tarlecote, fast and stylish in race 4, again outpacing all the other national champions with another huge winning margin in the fourth race, giving him 3 first places and a second, leading overall from Jeff Coate and Horgan. So on to the 5th and last race of the day, with the tide now easing off, but the wind strengthening further. It was a keen start. This time Craig and crewman Steve Dunn looked to have got the jump on the entire fleet, cruising away into the lead on this beat, and even with time for a quick wave to the camera. Round the weather mark in now blustery October conditions, a good lead over Davies and Thompson behind, and can the defending champ start to claw his way back into contention? The second beat of the course, and he's still clear of the pack, now drawing on all his experience of the conditions here, as Keith Escrit and Elaine Marsh edge ever closer, with Craig firmly in their sights. Gilbert and Stewart are looking comfortable out with the leading pack, but the Zenons spread across the river. And following them around the mark are the RS 400 champions Paul Hillier and Stu Jagger. Not so smooth for Ian Marshall and Andy Hessig, losing it downwind in what are clearly becoming interesting conditions, with the skipper eventually deciding to go back for his crew and perhaps have a bit of a rethink about tactics for the next race. But storming across the line to take victory in race 5, Nick Craig got his first win of an inconsistent day, leaving him with an awful lot to do tomorrow if he's to stand any chance of retaining his title here. Escrit and Marsh can't quite close the gap after fiercely fought race 2, the best result of the day for them, with third going to Chris and John Gill of the Europe class. So is it all over for Craig?
Yeah, our day was a bit mixed. We weren't particularly quick downwind. We struggled a bit to get the boat going, and our starts were a bit hit and miss. So our first few races were okay, but not great. I think we had, I haven't seen the results yet, but I think we had 2, 3, 6, 7 or something, which actually normally would have been really good, but Steve Tarlecote kind of laid down the gauntlet with 3 firsts and a second. So then the last race, we just discussed it before the race and said we've just got to win this one or it's kind of over. So the last race we really went for the start hard. We started right on the end, and we got a little bit lucky and just managed to tack and cross the fleet and won that race just. So we really needed that, otherwise tomorrow would have been kind of all over. As it is, we've got a big, I think we've got 5 or 6 points gap, but we'll see.
But what a day for Tilecoat.
Our philosophy for the day was just one race at a time, so we didn't want to, we haven't taken any special care over other boats or anything. We just basically try to sail our own race, do conservative starts and keep it as clean as possible. We didn't want to take any risks. We had reasonable pace at the beginning of the day. We found it really tough in the last race when the breeze was a lot stronger. And so we got our worst result in that breeze, but we were pleased enough to get where we got.
With one discard counting, Tilecoat and Lewis topped the fleet with 5 points, a clear 7 ahead of Craig. Jeffcoat is third with 14 points and Gilbert fourth with 18. And who would have predicted a 5-race day in absolutely superb conditions here at the Royal Corinthian Yacht Club at Burnham on Crouch. So let's hear all about these fantastic dinghies from Topper that were sailed so brilliantly yesterday.
Burnham really was born out of a boat that we wanted to make as a racing boat, but using the new modern materials out of plastic, which means you can get a boat that is good for racing, good for teaching, good for schools, pretty well indestructible. It's something that's fun. The spinnaker system's a single pull system. As you pull the spinnaker up, the pole goes up, so all you've got to do is concentrate on one line. You just pull it, pole goes out, kite goes up, and then when you want to take it down, it all comes down, pole comes in, it's all automatic. Really simple, really clean. Because it's unlike a lot of the boats the guy sails, which are fiberglass, very lightweight boats. This boat's a little bit more of a displacement boat, and I think they're all quite pleasantly surprised how well it sails.
And perhaps how well they are being sailed as preparations for the final 3 races of the Endeavour Trophy, sponsored by Holt, get underway early on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very tight again at the top. I mean, a bit lighter wind possibly today, different direction, so we shall see. We shall be trying hard as ever.
We've had some good racing in yesterday. The wind got up towards the end of the day and we'll get some good results in. It's certainly fun, all the boats are exactly the same, so it makes some very close competitive racing.
I think the Endeavour Trophy is a great event. To get a chance to sail against people that you would never normally sail against, and to give your class an idea of how high the standard is. There's no other event that you get the opportunity to see that.
I think the different direction the tide might come into effect a bit more. But it's just, every race you have to take it one race at a time, see what happens really. All depends how you get out the start line.
We're a bit lighter than good other crews, so hopefully that'll matter, but as long as we can get off the starts cleanly and have a good first downward leg, then we should be in good stead to have some good results today.
After a frustrating morning of waiting around for wind, finally the breeze begins to build and the tension rises again as the 28 national champions taking part head out for the start line on a chilly October day. And away they go on the first beat in a good 12-knot breeze here on the River Crouch. Again, the competitors have to make a judgment call of going further offshore to get more wind or hope that staying inshore means less of a current. Just sneaking through at the top mark into pole position, Barry and Sue Parking of the RS Fever class edge around the buoy and away into the short spreader leg, enjoying the limelight after some poor results and bad luck yesterday. Just look at the concentration here as Mark Barnes and Peter Nicholson from the B14 class stay focused on getting the best trim off the wind here down the middle of the course. But points leaders Tilecoat and Craig appear to have made the wrong call through this run downwind, both way off the pace, throwing the race wide open. No mistakes though from Eskret and Marsh, fighting back tack for tack with the Parking duo, and as they round the second weather mark, there's barely a second between them. What a race this is turning into as they bear off downwind. Though perhaps not all was going according to plan for everyone. Reaching off downwind, Eskret and Marsh look to have extended their lead now. These Zenons clearly performing well in a breeze, planing happily along. Rounding the leeward mark for the last time in race 6, Elaine Marsh hauls in the kite and the bowsprit and away they go. Only a disaster can stop them now, it seems, from wrapping up the wind. But look how close it finished. Gilbert and Stewart of the Merlin rocket class came right back at them on that final long beat, overtaking the Parkins and only just missing out on a win. Great sailing for both these teams.
Another couple of firsts would be great, but if we can just keep punching away into the top 5, and hopefully then we can move up the rankings a bit.
Well, it was quite a disaster for overall leaders Tarlecote and Lewis, finishing 10th in the last race. So race 7 and all to go for now. Remember, the discards coming into play to lose the worst results of the event. A 22nd for Nick Craig may well have killed any hopes he had of retaining the Endeavour Trophy this year. But sailing a blinder is Steve Cumley and Elunded Jones of the Lark class, leading the fleet around the leeward mark just ahead of Andrew Brown and Tony Wilcock, the topper champions, and Ian and John Coppenhall, the Comet class champions. Some real cat and mouse here as they edge around the mark, and how much must they be loving this as they sail up through their contemporaries, way ahead of them all. But wonderful conditions now for this Holt-sponsored Endeavour Trophy. After a morning of light winds, it's really kicked in nicely here at Burnham. Meanwhile, Tarlecote had gone off the boil somewhat, out of the leading group, allowing the charging Roger Gilbert to continue to close the gap, sailing superbly here to come through and take another race win. Tarlecote finishing 6th, so the question now looming was if Tarlecote could resist the challenge and do enough with top 10 positions to win the Endeavour Trophy.
5, 4,
So it's all down to the final race of the regatta, all or nothing for the leading group, and really it's down to 2 teams, Tarlecote or Gilbert. Just 2 points separating them after discard, clear and ahead of the rest, so effectively whoever finishes ahead of the other is likely to win. A clear start to decide the winner of the 2007 Endeavour Trophy sponsored by Holt, and the wind is backing off, dropping down to around 10 knots now and turning northerly, so the pressure is on then. But Cam, the National 12 sailor, is holding his own here. But it's all changed by the final weather mark, and Tarlecote has squeezed ahead, back in control of the regatta and looking for victory. All he and Toby Lewis have to do now is stay focused, don't take any risks, and the Holt Endeavour Trophy is theirs. No sign of the only other contender, Roger Gilbert, out of the top 5 places in this race and off the pace. But Cam and Ballantyne take the race. They must be delighted with that, as indeed are Steve Tarlecote and Toby Lewis, cruising across the line, second this race, but good enough to take the 2007 title here in Burnham.
and now.
Quite an event and quite a performance from all the sailors, though some felt they could perhaps have done better.
Had some bad run calls really. The first couple of races we were okay at the first marks, nothing spectacular, but we were top 10, and both of them we went right and left paid big time, so we dropped about 20 places on the first 2 runs, and then when we tried going left we lost as well, so it was one of those days when whatever we did was wrong. We had a better last race, but by then it was kind of all over.
I think the event's brilliant. I mean, it's one of the best run events of the year. I mean, the race obviously Kim Allen is just superb. Every race, really good course. And I really like the racing. It's sort of the timed race is nice, you know, we don't know how many laps it's going to be, but you can watch the clock and see how long to go. And it's just, no one gives up. It's so intense, you know, when you're in second, the guy in third trying to get past. When you're in 15th, the guy in 16th trying to get past. It doesn't make any difference, which, you know, it's really rewarding when you get it right and very demoralising when you get it wrong. It's, you know, there's everyone out there is trying to win.
I still haven't seen all the scores. So the Merlin Rocket guys, Roger and Nick, the OK, they were close behind us on points, and we kind of had half an eye on them today, but it's so tactical and the boats are all so evenly matched. If you start really getting into one boat or kind of looking at them all the time, I think your overall performance in the race suffers. So we try to avoid doing that and just sail our own races. And you've got to keep working, because obviously no one's that familiar with the boats, so you need to just keep working on your boat speed the whole time and keep your eyes out of the boat for the wind. We knew going into the last race it all depended on that last race, so it proved to be incredibly tactical stuff all the way through the regatta in the end. Yeah, we had a bit of a jump on everybody last night, but you know, with a 1 discard series and 8 races, that's never going to count for much really.
So Nick Craig's reign comes to an end, and a glittering trophy hoard awaits the winners here at the Royal Corinthian Yacht Club.
For the winners of the 2007
Endeavour Trophy, representing the Firefly class, are Steve Talcott and Toby Lewis.
Fifth last year in this event, Steve Talcott and Toby Lewis step up to receive the Holt Endeavour Trophy, a scale model of the hull of the J-class yacht Endeavour, donated by one of Holt's founders, Beecher Moore, and first contested in 1961 with a hugely impressive Roll of Honour that is a new addition for the first time in 4 years. Congratulations then to the champion of champions, Steve Talcott and Toby Lewis, but a valiant effort from Roger Gilbert and James Stewart. Third goes to Nick Craig and Steve Dunn. Their winning streak of the past 3 years comes to an end. The top 10 positions were closely fought with some notable performances. Graham Cam and Zoe Ballantyne having the honour of taking the last race of the weekend to slot into 9th place overall. But generally, the talent and skill is exhibited over the weekend, together with the social atmosphere, really makes this a top-class regatta. Holt have committed to support the Endeavour Trophy for a further 3 years, ensuring that the tradition and prestige will continue to grow and prosper and remain a magnificent showcase for the best of British sailing.